There's a thin line between heroism and madness.
Here the line fades to nothing at all.
This is a world of capes and lunatics.
And nothing is off limits.
Yeah.
Charlie Esser is a star, baby, a star.
See, but as the eternal artist, can I say for a minute? I was disappointed that there was no verisimilitude. That it's that one captured phrase. But I was thinking, oh, this would be a great place to drop in that other phrase I used in that same sentence. You know?
What, like two E's, full
something.
Quality.
Exactly. You know, something you could put something else in there. You needed like. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm saying it was quite frankly great. It may sweep the nation by next week. It may be the viral hit of. Okay, it may be the viral hit of the millennium.
I invite Rob or anyone else to do that for any of us.
No, honestly, I really enjoyed it and I liked it. But you know what it is. I'm a perfectionist. And sometimes as a perfectionist, You can only see the flaws. You can't see the goodness of a work because you can only see the flaws.
Especially with yourself. You are your own worst critic.
Oh, of course. That's why I don't write as much as I do. Although I'm still working on that fantastic Rick and Morty blog post. It's about 400 pages at this point. Certainly, it's gonna be eventually a leather-bound copy of it that you'll be able to buy for $9.99 at your local comic store.
That's right. I was waiting to put up your blog. I had to put up one. I'm probably gonna have like a 3-part review of the Invincible series, which brings me to my point. Anyone wants to win this? Send us emails, send us voicemails. The most thought out one get you this trade paperback of Invincible. It's issues 5 through 8.
Ooh.
Yes.
I've heard you say it's very good.
It is.
You know what else is very good, Phil?
What?
Do me a flavor, Lay's wavy fried green tomato chips. Look, Lay's isn't paying us any money on this.
Yes, they are not a sponsor, but if they would like to be, we would take welcome our Lay's rewards and their money.
Yeah, we will take our payment in chips if necessary. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I like Do Me a Flavor. It's a weird thing they did where they said, hey, why don't you tell us what kind of flavor you want on your dang chips, you crazy chip eaters? And people came up with some interesting things. They've never chosen one of mine. Butter sriracha chicken soup. The most delicious thing you're ever going to eat. Next to cream of buffalo chicken wing soup. Cream of buffalo chicken soup is probably the best thing you'll ever eat in your life if you ever get the chance to eat it. You have to make it yourself, but it's very good. It's basically just cream of chicken soup with a lot of hot sauce thrown in.
I don't mind talking food, but I'm like, man, maybe we should keep our mouth shut to see if someone will actually sponsor us.
Well, you know.
Anyway,
this year,
anytime I say Lay's, I want to be like, yeah.
You know, honestly, I feel like the guy in Idiocracy, where he keeps on saying brought to you by Carl's Jr. He's the Secretary of the Interior, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And he says, because every time I say it, I get paid by Carl's Jr., except no one's tracking it. So obviously you're not, but he just believes that. Here's what I want to say about Do Me a Flavor. So it's an interesting experiment in culinary creativity among the hoi polloi, of which I count myself a member. You know, I told my friend who came up with this, it sounds crazy, she dips her chips in Cool Whip. She loves it. I told her, that's her there. I told her, that's $1 million idea. You got to go on to Lay's and say, do me a flavor, Cool Whip. Just dip your chips in Cool Whip or have Cool Whip flavor on your chips. That's going to be $1 million.
Seriously, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I mean, back in the day, who would have thought combining chocolate and peanut butter? I mean, come on.
Well, exactly. That's my point. Anyway, but yeah, so she still hasn't, which is why she's not a millionaire. But
you I mean,
sorry, buddy.
What's her problem? Why can't she make $1 million and support you? Come on.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, I don't know if she would. Yeah, I'm picking on her right now.
Man.
She's my friend. She's a great person.
All right, we're rambling. We rambled last week. We rambled this week. There's no little.
But here's my point. So this year, because they always pick 3 flavors to put out there, and everyone buys, and then you never hear from them again. This year's flavors are taco, everything bagel, and fried green tomato. Now, I am not a fan of tomatoes in general. And I love tacos. And everything bagels are good. Needed salmon. I'm going to be honest with you. The everything bagel, if they had put it everything bagel with lox and cream cheese, that would have been the thing. But all you could taste is that there wasn't enough salmon. The tacos I liked, but my sons felt a little soft on because it had too much lettuce flavor. Now, to me, I'm thinking, well, yeah, a taco is a lettuce-flavored dish because lettuce is a key part of taco. My kids weren't feeling the heavy lettuce flavor. Now, fried green tomato, I'm loving. And it really shocked me because I was not expecting loving it. So that's all I'm saying. That's my review of the Do Me a Flavors for this year of potato chips from the good folks at Lay's, who should give us money or at least free potato chips.
I know.
So what should we talk about that's not potato chip related, Phil?
All right, I was going to say, do you want to start with like actual news items, or should we start with our comics for the week?
Well, I only got the chance to read 2 comics so far because we're recording on Thursday. Comics come out on Wednesday. And I still work for a living. So let me talk about the 2 comics I read, which are pretty much 1 and 2 on my favorite list this week. Make sure I grab the right bag here. No, that's like last week's bag. Oh, we did this week's bag. Anyway, later. Secret Empire. What number is this?
Number
7,
8.
8.
Because what do we have? Like 2 more left, I believe.
Yeah, Secret Empire 8. And then, of course, Captain America, no differentiator. Because there's only one. There can be only one Captain America. He is the Highlander. Even though we all know there is no Captain America after this end of it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a...
Yeah, I think this is like the last issue until like Legacy. Well, when does Legacy start?
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
I keep wanting to say Marvel Rebirth.
Well, that's fine. Well, and obviously, goodness knows, because we do know that, Amadeus show says last minute we were fighting in Washington D.C. and now I'm here in the past. What's up? Goodness even knows what's up. Oh, Amadeus, we really have no idea what you're doing or what you're working with.
Did you read the Generations Hulk book?
No, not yet.
No.
Because actually, that was the thing I really wanted to. I just haven't had time because I have to download it, then read it on the train. And, Phil, this may come as a shock to you, but my life is actually very full. I do work this 8 to at least. I leave the house at 8. I work, to get to work by 9, and then I work until 5. And then I go home, except I usually work till 5:30 or 6 or 7 or 8. But it does take me a while to get home. And then I do have to make time for my apple juice, which is a very important part of my unwinding regime.
If you're listening to this on the podcast, you can't see the air quotes, apple juice.
Apple juice. I think they all know about my apple juice. I love it.
But no, yeah, the Generations Hulk issue was good, but this week was Generations Jean Grey, well, Phoenix and Jean Grey, and I mean, leave it to Jean Grey. She has to travel into the past to meet her older self.
Yeah,
but this one's you would find this one interesting. They get into a fight with Terrax and Galactus.
So here's what I'm going to tell you, Phil.
Yes.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Here's the thing to be looking for in there. How old is the technology in the past? And I don't know if they've touched on this yet, but I think this is going to be essential. Because we know from the Ultimates the idea of sliding time being codified. But if characters are thrown into the past, are they thrown into the actual past? So the question is Amadeus in the 60s right now, or is he in the 80s? Is Jean Grey in the 90s right now, or the 80s?
Well, that's the other thing that really confused me, because if I'm reading this right, because when she goes back into the past, Phoenix is telling her, Phoenix believes that the X-Men are dead, which I'm thinking this is before the Dark Phoenix saga. So I'm like, wait, wasn't that the Phoenix posing as Jean Grey? So that wasn't that not really Jean Grey? But they were all acting like it was, though.
Well, because she thought she was Jean
She thought
Grey.
she was, but
yeah,
I would have thought. Young Jean Grey's basically mind scanned everybody and got all her future history. So wouldn't she know at this point that that's not Jean Grey? That's the Phoenix.
Well, she might know that, but that doesn't mean she's going to tell the Phoenix that.
Yeah, but I mean, she's just her inner thoughts and the way she's acting like it's the real Jean Grey. But you were asking about the technology in the past. They really don't show any, because when young Jean Grey meets the older Jean Grey, she's on a beach reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, she's not whipping out a cell phone or anything, or so.
And that's what I'm saying, man. It's like maybe there's supposed to be a point about sliding time in all this, which is that, when you go into the past, it's an interesting question about where you are. And it's very easy to do a Batman the Animated Series thing, where every desk has a computer, but clearly every phone is a rotary dial. And every car is clearly from the 40s. They did that a lot with Batman the Animated Series, which is, I think, even a nice tip of the hat to the whole concept of sliding time.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know if sliding time's gonna be, they already hung a hat on it once. I don't know if they're gonna, put a coat on it too. But it's interesting to me. The concept that slotting time is being codified in Marvel is interesting. And I would love to see them actually explore the concept here. I'm really interested in what Gwenpool does next. Like I said, I'm really fascinated. You know, I think we're at a kind of peak metafictional point in comics right now where it's like we're going to be able to address things in an honest way, in a realistic way between fiction and reality and the concepts that we're approaching, while still harboring some honesty about story, and we are trying to tell stories of characters triumphing against odds. Now, will what happens in the next few months move that forward? I don't know. But here's hoping.
Yeah.
Here's hoping that something good comes of all this.
Like I told
Because
you,
we got a lot of crazy going on.
Yeah, I just hope we get a break from the heroes fighting heroes. It just seems like that's Marvel, DC. It just seems like that's been the only theme for like a last few years.
You know what, Phil? The truth of it is, it's always heroes fighting heroes.
Yeah, but it wasn't so blatant back in the day, you know?
No, well, only because back in the day, there were... Here's the thing. Here is the Punisher is bad at his job, the hypothesis, which we've explored before. The Punisher is bad at his job because either he's not killing enough people or he's just not killing the right people. You can argue he's not killing enough people, fair enough, but he's certainly not killing the right people. The people that are clearly the heads of violent organizations in the Marvel Universe, your Kingpins, your Baron Nefarias, your Otto Octavii, if you will. These are not people that Frank Castle is murdering. Murdering, you know, like real world mobsters. You know, he killed Russian mobsters. Yeah, you know, various Italian mobsters. You know, people that are just dudes committing crimes.
Well, that's what I said. You really can't have, like, I mean, with the exception of like Jigsaw or the Kingpin. I mean, you really don't have a lot of reoccurring characters in the Punisher because it's like.
Yeah, but the point is that he hasn't killed Jigsaw yet, who is like his like recurring villain. You know, it's like this. The reason why Daredevil hasn't killed Bullseye yet is because he doesn't kill people. But you know, why is the Punisher not killing anyone? And it seems like he can kill anyone he wants whenever he wants. Had it not been for the Sentry, he would have killed Norman Osborn, but somehow the Kingpin, that's just too much. That's too hard. You know, even freaking Hammerhead, he can't kill Hammerhead. He can't kill Silvermane. He can't kill Caesar Cicero, who may already be dead in the Marvel Universe.
I wonder how they're going to handle that in the Netflix series. Are they just going to bring in like create a brand new like big bad for him to kill, or?
No, well, so this is actually something me and Maz were discussing today. The reality of the Netflix series and the reality of the Punisher is the point of the penultimate episode and the final episode in its own way of Daredevil season 2, which is really the Punisher's origin, is that it is not about vengeance. It's about war. War exists separate from vengeance. And for the Punisher, it starts out about vengeance. It starts out about him wanting to kill the people who took his family away from him. But then, after he takes out the blacksmith, after he takes out the villains who were directly responsible for his family's death, he continues. And he continues because it's not about vengeance, it's about justice. It is about the war that must continue because crime continues, because villains continue. In the same way that every superhero, when they are granted reprieve from their superheroism by some change of fate, then turn and say, but I have to return. I have to re-expose myself to whatever it was. I have to become the Hulk again. I have to become the Thing again. I have to become Spider-Man again. Because who I am right now can't solve the problem. And if I'm not willing to make the sacrifice to solve the problem, then I am not who I wish to be. And so the hero has to return to the curse of superheroism. For the Punisher, because he has no powers, it is simply his choice to be a superhero, to move beyond that moment of I have achieved what I wanted. And in the episode before the penultimate episode, you get a great moment of the Punisher wanting to kill a ship captain on the belief he is the blacksmith. And Daredevil saying, dude, you know, I can hear heartbeats and I know you can't, but we both know he's not the blacksmith. We both know this isn't who you want. And the Punisher just says, please just let me kill him and let it be over. But of course, it's not over just because you kill him. Because that's the vengeance. And the vengeance is great to have. But you don't go to war over vengeance. You go to war over principle and justice and what you think is right. And that's the Punisher's conundrum. And the real conundrum for the Punisher is that he exists in a fictional universe where he's not allowed to kill the Kingpin.
Well, do you think it's like the Batman syndrome too? Because it's like, let's face it, these guys are broken. It's just, mentally, it's just like, criminals hurt, killed my family, hurt me, so I want to make them bleed,
Yeah, well, what actually, honestly, what surprises me about Gotham is there's no death penalty in the city of Gotham.
Well, again, in fictional universe, if there was, Batman would have no one to fight.
Well, exactly. Well, yeah. But that's the thing. But the people of Gotham are still so morally righteous that somehow Gotham still assuages the death penalty.
Listen to this, Charlie. There was this Batman story in the 90s. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but the Joker gets arrested and he goes on death row for they were going to execute him, but it basically someone set the Joker up for this mass murder, and Batman's like, oh, I have to, I got to clear his name, and Commissioner Gordon's like, why? He's like, how many people he's killed. Just let the system go. And Batman's like, no, there's a real serial killer out there who's going to escape justice, and that's not how the system
Batman
works.
Honestly, there are times with Batman where he's more obsessed with the game than with winning, and it's a problem. Kind of like here's what I'm going to say. There is an interesting. I don't think it's even intentional, but there's an interesting story with Hawkeye and Mockingbird that, taken at a distance, almost seems orchestrated, but clearly is not. Between the whole. And it all starts with the first, the Ghost Rider who wasn't a Ghost Rider, the 1800s Ghost Rider who's just a guy who can turn invisible. Who then mind controls Mockingbird and essentially has a Purple Man relationship with her. And she kills him, and then Hawkeye's like, dude, we don't kill. That's not our thing. And she's like, yeah, but he raped me. And it's, back and forth because obviously, not to take Hawkeye's side on that per se, it is to say, well, yeah, I know that's that, but fudge on a cracker, please keep in mind that we are heroes, and just because someone hurt a cop's family,
Yeah, but I don't think the Mockingbird example is like the Punisher in that, because
no, because
she wasn't going out and killing all rapists. She was, she suffered this trauma, and before she even had a chance to heal, that's when the whole,
that was
Phantom Rider gets killed. Yeah.
And then as we move on from that, then there are these other ideas and stories that come into play as well, which is Hawkeye's decision that he's going to kill Norman Osborn. And then this very weird thing that happened in the recent Mockingbird Ask Me About My Feminist Agenda series, where she basically says, yeah, it wasn't really that mind controlled. I killed him because I killed him, and it almost like it wasn't really... Honestly, I'm not even sure what they were trying to say with that. It was a very weird stance to take.
That sounds weird, but that's probably not the direction they're going. But it almost sounds like she was saying, "Yeah, I cheated on my husband and I killed the guy so he wouldn't talk."
That's sort of like the reaction. See, here's the thing. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't, because too many books, Marvel. I really wanted to read the Mockingbird series. I didn't get the chance to because there's just too many dang books. And then they throw in the last issue this little what now what? And of course I only know about this because I've read about it on the Mary Sue, which is a great website. You should all go to it. MarySue.com, or is it the MarySue.com or MarySue.com? I don't know. One or the other. You'll know because it has a changing logo of a female showing you her butt. Because her face is turned away, so she can be anyone. I guess is the implication. It's really her back towards you, but of course it's a female character, so you can see her butt. And you can see a man's butt when his back is turned to you too. So arguably it's not a difference, but of course for that reason we put more value in a female's butt. Or at least men do. Which may be its own indictment of the male species. Moving right along.
Well, you said you read Secret Empire and Captain America 25. What did you think? Well, I know what you thought, but
well, let me tell you this. I was never text a friend how excited you are about an issue when you've only read half a page.
No.
Maria Hill comes in and she finds Bob, who is in the prison, and I'm like, oh my God, she said it's Bob. And of course, my mind goes to
the Sentry,
the one true Bob. Yeah, Bob Reynolds. You know why it's important that he's Bob Reynolds, by the way?
Because he's important. He's like the everymaner?
No, because he's not right. Because Robert Reynolds is a superhero comic book name. But Bob Reynolds is not. So that he goes by Bob Reynolds says, you're almost there, but you're not. And that's the story of the century, is he's almost there, but he's not. And I was so excited when she calls him Bob, because I was waiting for it to be Bob Reynolds. But actually, it is Bob, the Blackout character. And it's still good. and it's still good. And this is what I love about Secret Empire 8 is that at its core, it is redressing every person's complaints about superheroes. They fight each other too much. Because in many ways, here's the thing. As I've said, it's always going to be heroes fighting heroes because Doctor Doom thinks he's a hero. Otto Octavius thinks he's a hero. The Shocker thinks he's a hero because the Shocker thinks he's been screwed over so much by society that he has a right to do what he's doing.
And I know they want most of these characters to be relatable to everyone, but I mean, if your name is on that cover, you should be a little better than the average person. You know what I'm saying? At least more.
Well, yes, and they do that. And when they do a Doctor Doom series, he's the best Doctor Doom he can be.
Infamous Iron Man.
Infamous Iron Man, which is the most recent one. That ends poorly. I did read that recently, and it's interesting because in the last issue of that, it does suggest that, everyone's been lying to Doctor Doom, as always. Playing to his ego. Because that's the thing. Because if you're a supervillain, you can play to a supervillain's ego. A supervillain has ego that can be played to. And if you play to the ego, you can unravel his plans. So he was just straight up buttered on both sides and put in a toaster, as we say. As I say, because I just made up that phrase right now. But use it in your own life, kids. Say, you were totally buttered on both sides and put in a toaster. Which is just, it makes no sense, because obviously if you're buttered on both sides, you can't really hold the bread. And if you then put it in a toaster, probably a fire is going to occur, burning down your entire apartment. Which is maybe what you wanted in the first place.
That needs to be the next T-shirt. A picture of you and just like saying, being buttered on both sides and put in the toaster.
Yeah. Buttered on both sides and put in a toaster, and that's what happens to Doom. He gets buttered on both sides, put in the toaster by his mom. Spoilers, kids. His mom. And then he's like, he realizes too late, as you always do, I got played. And he got played by his mom. He got played by phony Reed Richards. And what I did like about that is that, the thing is like, I don't know who I talked to. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to tell you right now, whatever they're saying, it's not right. Doom isn't right, and this Reed isn't right. Nothing that we are observing right now is correct. I'm just going to punch my way through to the next spot.
Almost as if the universe is broken, or the multiverse is broken.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, would be helpful if people weren't actively always breaking it. Meanwhile, okay, Phil, did you ever watch You Can't Do That on television?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember the diner owner?
Yeah, a little bit. I probably haven't watched that since it was
do you remember what his name was?
I kind of remember. No.
Okay. I feel that this week's Secret Empire is intended to have a shout out to You Can't Do That on television, because they call the Inhuman barf. Now, arguably, other younger people than me might say, no, that's a reference to the Mog from Spaceballs, who's also called Barf. But I do kind of feel that it is a reference to an older time for two reasons. First, because his name is Barf. And yes. But second, because the power set exhibited, the idea of seeing something and bringing it into reality is actually kind of related to a really interesting old new Twilight Zone from the 80s, which had I'm blanking on his name. The guy from Empty. He was anyway. He was also on Soap. I'm forgetting his name, but anyway, he plays the father of a kid with this power that if he sees a picture of something, the kid can make come into reality. And so has to be very careful about what his son sees because he can bring anything into reality. So he can you see this thing where he pages because his kid has a severe intellectual disability, and so he doesn't understand that what he's doing is wrong, and he winds up Anyway, it's a good episode. Look up, I will recommend to anyone if you can find the Twilight Zones from the 80s. Those were really good stories.
But do you think, is it just has this Inhuman been around before? Because it almost seems like a plot device. Just
no.
The story around.
This character was introduced in... I don't know if it was the first Secret Empire, but he was introduced in one of the early issues or tie-in issues.
Okay.
He was actually established.
It just seems like we're down cosmic cube fragments. Hey, look, I can just puke one up.
Yeah, well, obviously, his superhero name is Captain MacGuffin, but but the fact of the matter, they did establish him, and he was established as this weird side thing, this weird superhero who had this power that you weren't even sure what it was. And they do display it in that first scene where he pukes up a Captain America lunchbox for his little brother.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
He goes into this point look, I can't do something for myself. I can do this if it's altruistic, which is an interesting thing. Reminds me of Eldrek, the door Inhuman, who can take you wherever you need to go, not where you want to go.
That just seems weird, though. That's the other thing, altruistic. It's because it's once the Inhumans get hit with that Terrigen Mist, their powers are biological. So how does that altruistic thing come into play, or is that just a mental?
You know what? It's funny you should ask that, Phil, because this other day I was sitting in the shower discussing that very same thing with myself.
I was gonna say, who are you talking to in the shower?
Only me.
Okay.
Sadly. Wish there was someone else, but so there is this interesting question about the evolutionary development of altruism. Because there was this scientist, and he basically realized that a certain, I can't remember if it was a single-celled creature or a slug or something, but basically some very basic creature, when it got into itself into this point where it was going to die, it couldn't move forward because there was no water around. It would essentially build itself into a pillar, and then it would sort of spread itself out as pores. And it had to be some sort of cooperative species because the genetic qualities of each single-celled organism were different. And he realized that the point of altruism is that because something holds something of my genetic code, it is in my best interest to push that forward if I myself cannot go forward. So it is better to be a foot on the ladder for my nephew than to just let my nephew die. Because if I'm going to die, it is better that my nephew continue, even though he is not my direct descendant. Now, what's funny about this is that this is all taking place on a non-sentient chemical level. That it's not like it's, me sitting there on the Titanic knowing I'm going to die, but I can save my nephew if I throw him to Kate Winslet on that door where there was more than enough room for Leonardo DiCaprio, but she likes her space. But knowing that my nephew is small enough that you're smaller than Leo, you can stay. But that's the thing. It's like this idea that me as a sentient being, I can do that. But when it happens in non-sentient creatures, it's a weird chemical thing. But there's a deeper question in that, is that why does a chemical have altruism?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, is that apparently it does.
That's what I'm thinking. It's some kind of mental thing, maybe on a subconscious level even. He's like afraid. He's like, oh, if I get too powerful, if I use this power for the wrong reasons, I could end up like shattering the universe. I could break the universe. Because, I mean, look, he's puking up cosmic cube fragments.
This is true. However, I think what's more to the point is that...
And again, and another thing, didn't he say, I can do it sometimes if all I see is a picture?
Mm-hmm.
Why did they show him like a picture or whatever of a fragment? Why didn't they show him a picture of a whole cosmic cube?
Because that would have really ruined the story, Phil.
Exactly.
Well, and to be fair, I think the argument is that he's not recreating something. He's actually bringing that. He's essentially working much like Aldrich.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. Is
as
he
a
creating
portal
this from scratch? Yeah, or is he bringing it from somewhere? Okay.
So when he sees a picture of something, he's bringing it from the picture. If he can envision it, he can puke it up.
So basically, he's a teleporter.
Exactly. He's a teleporter who, unfortunately, did not become a door. It's like if there's anyone that's going to make Eldrick go, woo, I got the better end of that deal. As a teleporter, it's Barf. It's like, yeah, I gotta like regurgitate it up from my stomach. The only person with a worse part is the person who has to go to the facilities when he does it.
I was gonna say the other end would be worse.
Exactly, but you know what? In human genetics, they're a funny thing.
And then at the end we got Namor saved Bucky Barnes.
I was a little disappointed by that.
Hey, keep hope alive. Maybe we'll get another Thunderbolt.
I know, but I was really hoping that was going to be Human Torch or Toro.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think maybe in the last issue, Secret Empire, maybe that's what helps bring Steve Rogers back or down or whatever? Is Bucky Barnes getting in his face?
Maybe. I'm still hoping it's the vibrations in the shield. But
well, what about the thing in his head? What do you think about that?
Well, that's the thing and of course we do see he meets Kobik, and he says Kobik.
Is that just a part of her, or is she hiding in his head?
Well, no, that's Kobik, and that's the thing, is that the spirit is different. See, this is the thing in this universe, because it is a anthropomorphic universe. We might get this in Gwenpool, that the universe itself is alive, and that's why it's malleable. And everything within that universe is a part of that universe, and it is likewise alive. And yes, Gwenpool can move a panel because she is aware of its existence. But the scary truth of it all is that anyone who became aware of its existence could do that. But in this moment, what you have is... Now, Bucky Barnes was there when Toro was awakened by the Cosmic Cube. Bucky Barnes does know the visions. So it could still be along those lines. But it's like... I'm wondering where they're going with the Cosmic Cubes. I'm wondering where they're going with this sentience. It's interesting. I certainly hope it doesn't come just to a fight. But we do see when Tony Stark is explaining his birthday cake, what differentiated the moments. That when actually I'm not sure. Was it that that Cap wasn't killed because a cube was involved, or that Cap was killed because a cube was involved? I think it was that Cap was killed because the cube was involved. But when the cube wasn't involved, Miles said no. And
yeah, because that's the whole thing. It's like Ulysses was predicting everything pretty good. Now all of a sudden, Miles didn't kill Captain America. So what's the difference? The cube.
The cube is the difference, because the cube is destroyed in this universe and will be put back together, or will draw itself back together. And like I said, I'm just hoping if 1940s Vision shows up at some point in the story, or if Selvig is a Vision, that will make it all worthwhile. That Selvig is like brought back because he says the Visions brought me back because you need a place to be.
Well, I just wonder if they're bringing everybody back. If, Kobik magic or whatever, everyone's going to come back. Like Rick Jones, is all of Las Vegas going to be brought back?
Well, it's an interesting question. And let me give you an interesting theory. So at the end of this, modern heroes get thrown back in time. Because we know that Ms. Marvel is meeting Ms. Marvel. And we already know that Amadeus, after Washington, D.C., is in the past with the Hulk. What if what happens in the Marvel Universe is the modern heroes become the legacy heroes? What if you get a universe in which Amadeus Cho was always the Hulk? What if you get a universe where Kamala Khan was always Ms. Marvel?
I don't want to spoil anything, but I read the Hulk issue of Generations, and doesn't seem like they're going that way.
We'll see.
I just wondered, weren't they promising? Aren't they promising?
Or is there more than one issue?
Well, I mean, I think it's one issue of each team up.
Okay, well then maybe you're right.
But at one point, isn't Carol Danvers meeting Marvel? Or aren't they? I'm still holding out hope, because didn't they promise us like a shocking return? What if it's Marvel?
Here's the thing.
Time travel. Time travel's involved.
I know, but
if Kobik brings back Rick Jones, I mean, there's several ways you can bring him back.
Here's the thing about Marvel. I really, I know a lot of nerds have their heart on for Marvel. For a lot of other nerds,
they brought back Barry Allen. They can bring back Marvel.
No, but what I'm saying is, Marvel. I only know about Captain Marvel because of the death of Captain Marvel. Like, if you don't have the death, it's like Captain Marvel was not. He was never even really the Superman pastiche that, like, a Sentry or a Hyperion was. It's like bringing back Captain Marvel. I don't know what purpose it serves, because I don't think his fan base is as big as people think it is. And not for nothing, you're going to say, oh, we'll bring back Captain Marvel, then we don't have Carol Danvers Captain Marvel anymore. It's like, yeah, that's going to fly.
No, they're not going to replace Carol Danvers. I mean, he could go by a different name or something, but I just think they're building out that cosmic universe, Maybe he never comes back to Earth, but
I will not. You know what? Uncle Ben's not back yet. Bucky's only back because of Cosmic Cube shenanigans. I believe that. I believe Bucky was dead and was brought back by Cosmic Cubes. Like the first time Cap touched a cosmic cube, that was his wish. You know,
No, they brought Bucky Barnes back because DC was bringing back Jason Todd, and they're like, "Hey, stealing from each other."
Yeah, of course they always do. Well, you know, there's only so many stories you can tell in the universe, and bringing people back from the dead when it's an option is always an option. But no, I don't think that Captain Marvel is coming back. I think that you are much more likely to see the Fantastic Four come back before you see Captain Marvel come back. And honestly, I would say you would see Uncle Ben come back before you see Captain Marvel come back. But again, much like Captain Marvel, if you brought Uncle Ben back, you suddenly have the question, well, now what do we do? I mean, the fact that the negabands have been found, like I said, I think you're far more likely to see the negabands on Ms. Marvel than anyone else. Because we already know she wears bracelets already. She wears her grandmother's Inhuman bracelets. So that negabands are back in the Marvel Universe since whatever issue of Avengers that was. I would not be surprised if Captain or if Ms. Marvel or Ms. Marvel, or maybe she changed her names to Ms. Marvel now, starts using the negabands. That would not surprise me. Or they'll give them to Carol Danvers and she gets to be even more superhero-y than she was before.
What if they give him to and they'll give you another hero? What if Rick Jones can actually use him instead of just trading places with somebody?
Yeah, that's fine. You know, honestly, if Rick Jones come back, I'm not going to complain about Rick Jones coming. Here's what I'll tell you. I believe that Rick Jones coming back far more likely than Captain Marvel coming back.
Okay.
Because Rick Jones is a character that people like and have followed for decades and would like to see something good happen. You know, that's the thing. I cannot emphasize enough how it's about Captain Marvel. Because I think that the only reason people care about Captain Marvel is because of other iterations of Captain Marvel that have come since him. Just my opinion. And if you disagree, feel free to write to us here on Capes and Lunatics at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com or nightwingpdp@gmail.com or
capesandlunatics@gmail.com.
Yeah, any of those. Or you can even leave us a voicemail at
614-382-2737.
That's 614-38-CAPES. So tell us how wrong I am. Challenge your brain against me, the Professor Esser, and see who comes out on top.
Just do it!
You may notice I'm growing the hair out again. So I no longer have that pure egghead sheen that lets the solar radiation in to feed my brain. I'm covering it again. So I am not at full power. And you may yet be able to beat me. So give it a call. Okay, anything else to talk about this week, Phil?
We talked a lot of Marvel. I know I already recommended it, but Charlie, make sure you read it digitally. Red Hood and the Outlaws, number 13.
I will make a point of that.
I guarantee you, it's a good Bizarro story. You're gonna be like, thank you for recommending this to me, especially when you read the last page.
I do love Bizarro.
Plus, you get like Lex being all egotistical and stuff, and
I do like Lex.
Yeah.
Why is there no Bizarro Lex? Why isn't there like me like give money away, me like help people? You know.
I think there was like back in the Silver Age, but it was like back when he was like a pure mad scientist. It was before he became like a businessman.
So it was just like he was just like me dumb Lex, you know, me not know how to do science, you know.
Well, back in the day too on Earth 3, you know, where they had like the evil Justice League, the crime syndicate. That version of the Justice League was all evil, and Lex Luthor was like the Earth's like only hero.
That was cool. Yeah. I've never understood the purely evil universe, except in the sense.
Well, everyone has them. It's like that Star Trek Dark Mirror universe.
Yeah, but what I'll say is that they built out that later. I don't know how much they've built out the motivation towards evil. Although I will say that I do remember in Infinite Crisis they were discussing the evil Superman who was like an astronaut Superman who got his powers.
Yeah, that's him.
And
I think was it Ultraman or something? Yeah.
Yeah, Ultraman. He was saying in his universe there is no God, there is only Mammon. That Mammon was their god, because of course you cannot serve both God and Mammon, as the Bible says. They get real Christian-y over there at DC. I don't know, man. Yeah, I got no problem with Christianity. I am officially a Catholic, which, Catholics consider themselves Christian, even though, not necessarily everyone else does. But, I do know that's controversial. It's like when you start saying stuff about Loki and Thor, no one really bats an eye. But you really start getting into that Christian mythos, and it's like, dude, these are comic books. I'm not sure everyone is going to become... I mean, I am. Because I'm an enlightened, 90s woman. And, I'm not going to worry about it, but I can imagine that that's problematic. But of course, DC doesn't shy away from it. And maybe that's their success. Maybe leaving it on the table is their goal. But yeah, I've always, so like in the Mirror universe, it starts out with that, it's the evil enterprise, but they kind of make the point in that very first episode that, well, what if the first contact wasn't the Vulcans? What if it was the Klingons? And what's interesting is that they later go back and kind of touch on that with what was actually the second contact was with a Klingon, where a farmer shoots some random Klingon soldier who happened on his land.
Enterprise, episode 1.
Enterprise, yeah, back in Enterprise, good old Scott Bakula quantum leaping into a starship captain.
Yeah.
That crossover, why has that not happened yet? Why hasn't Scott Bakula leaped into Archer's body?
Because it wasn't in his lifetime.
He's gone outside of his lifetime before. He's gone to the Civil War.
Yeah, but it has... Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it happens. It happens. It has to have like this extreme possibility. All you need is someone to create a minor wormhole somewhere. Has to go back to it, almost get back to his proper life, and then, oh no, Ziggy created a wormhole. Oh no, that's how we brought you back, but now it's throwing you into the future, and now you're in Archer's body. Goodness.
Ow, where am I?
Al, we don't even know because this is the future, so we don't have any data on it. But we're going to interface with the Enterprise's computers, and we're going to extrapolate where we're going.
I loved Quantum Leap.
It was a great series, and I would love to... Oh, man, now I just want that fanfic to be real. I want to hear the conversations between...
Write it up.
Ziggy, me write it up. Sure, I'm like still stuck on a Rick and Morty.
It's your idea.
I know it's my idea, and I should write it up. I need to write more. I need to write more.
If you want to steal Charlie Esther's idea and run with it, just make sure to send it to us.
You're welcome to it. Hey, we will put you up, and we will read it, and we will talk it up, and we will tell you how awful or how amazing it is. So that's your gamble, friends. Will you write something awesome or will you write something awful? Because we're going to know. You think you can come and dual pens with Charlie the Professor Esser? I welcome the challenge. Okay. Yeah, so that would be Archer Quantum Leap crossover. That would be nice. And of course, then later, someone else has to write how he leaps into Picard's body or Kirk's body.
Make it so. Oh, no.
Yes. Or who's the new Asian captain? We've got an Asian woman who's the captain.
I can't remember her name. Or
it'd be cool.
What about the it's gonna be I'm not going to be focused on a captain. Didn't they say it's going to be what's her face from The Walking Dead? I think she's only a lieutenant or something, but the series is mostly going to focus on her.
Well, we'll see who people like. You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you know what? Fonzie wasn't supposed to be the star of Happy Days.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, well, let's see what kind of character folks like. More to the point, I just want to see more Mud. Oh, there we go. He jumps into Mud's body.
I thought you were going to say you jump into Janeway.
Oh, Janeway, that's fine. Oh, Janeway. I miss Janeway.
I love that shit. People like poop all over Star Trek Voyager, but I like it. It's like my second favorite Trek series. For me, it's the Next Generation and Voyager.
I've always said this. I've always predicted where Star Trek would go next. When they were talking about a sequel, I said, you know where they need to go? Because they had hinted at it with the first Star Trek The Next Generation, when they talked about Yar growing up in like an outer colony where it was kind of a not for nothing fudge hole. And you know, I said, that's what you have to tell. You have to tell the story of all those people on the outskirts of the Federation where it's not all gleaming starships and perfect. You have to tell it. And then they did Deep Space Nine. And then after that, when they were saying, well, we're going to do a third series, and I was thinking, well, you know what they need to do? They need to really go back to that original series and have a starship that's about to blow up every episode, that, you know, you're sticking together with spit and baling wire, where your engineer is saying, you cannot change the laws of physics, Captain. You know, you need to get back to that place where we have no idea where we're going. We have no idea what we're finding. You know, where it's not just, you know, that perfect starship, but then that other exploration. And then they did Voyager, you know, and it's like, and then I said, you know what they really should do? They should go back to like the Pike days. And then they went to Archer and still aren't going back to Pike. I don't know why they're so nervous about touching Pike.
But why do they keep going backwards anymore? Why can't we get a series that takes place after Voyager?
Because they did a backdoor pilot of that during Voyager, where they showed you the Time Explorers. And the Time Explorers would be cool, but they realized probably that, first off, because they established that at that point in history, you don't need a whole crew. You just have one guy in a time ship. You have one guy in a DeLorean going through time, observing things. And then all the alternate timelines got to be problematic. And it's like, we're supposed to be controlling the time, and it's not. Although I love the fact that in DS9, they did establish that there was like a time variance authority in the Federation. It's like, oh, don't get us started on James T. Kirk. That man has a file as long as your arm.
Oh, especially after the Chris Pine stuff. Oh, yeah.
Oh, please.
That's a radical alteration of the timeline.
We don't discuss Chris Pine in... Nothing against Chris Pine. I got nothing against the man. I love all the Chris's who are superheroes in this era. I, for one, welcome our Chris overlords. But as long as Chris Rock has won, that's fine. But no, it's just like that entire, you know, when they did the reboot of Star Trek, you just kind of say, oh, okay, so Man of Steel. And then Batman v Superman. Let's just think about how we can completely ruin a franchise. How could we take a franchise and just say, hey, we don't like franchises, so we're going to just destroy the franchise. No, we'll do something else. It's like, oh, okay. I guess that's what you wanted to do. I mean, you know, it's like if your intention when walking into it.
Because my Wi-Fi wasn't working, I was trying to go to YouTube, but
okay. Why don't you ask Mama because she's not on a ask Mama because she's not on a podcast.
Our producer with some technical difficulties.
Yeah. I don't think Mommy's actually asleep because she just said what?
Just because her eyes are closed doesn't mean she's asleep.
Mommy will tell him to put the electronic away. So electronic goes away now. That's fine. Lay down. I will put it away. I will charge it up. Don't worry. Oh, it's so hard being a Tristan. Anyway, how long have we been doing this? It's got to be an hour and a half by now.
I think it's at least an hour. I was going to say I have more topics, but we can take them for super connectivity tomorrow.
Yeah, because it's just you and me again, unless Lilith wants to join. Or Tyler. Let him know, hey, you guys missed out the last time, but join us again.
I'll let him know.
Let him know that there is a super connection still to be had. And, yeah, you know, Chris Pine. He was good as Chris. Was he the guy who played Steve Trevor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that was him. Okay, it's hard to differentiate your Chris's sometimes.
Oh no, the hydrogen gas got to you.
Oh, well, you know, it's those small molecules. They just go in your, make you talk funny. That's, oh God. You know what? Tell you right now, if they had made it helium based, it would still have been a small molecule, and you could have made an argument that helium, because it is still a lighter gas, might have been small enough to get through the filters on the gas masks. You could have made that argument. And because helium will not naturally bond to something, you create your unobtainium quality to it. So if you say it's a helium-based gas, now granted you could say, well, how could they create a helium gas in the 1800s? It's because Ares was whispering in their ears. Okay, magic. That's how.
He wanted a weapon.
Yeah, but it's like you could, because it is outside of normal physics, you could make that argument. But you may just say, oh, it's a hydrogen-based. There's lots of hydrogen. Water vapor is a hydrogen-based gas. For real. It's like, oh, the steam from my tea. That's a hydrogen-based gas. My farts are hydrogen-based gas. Actually, sulfur hydroxide is actually a hydrogen-based gas, and that's pretty deadly. Yes. I think it's sulfur hydroxide. That might be sulfur dioxide. No, sulfur dioxide's also.
So that was Ares' secret weapon?
Yep. And they said a sulfur-based gas. See, and that even, you go with sulfur, it's even got that whole Greek mythos quality to it, because it's like, you know, sulfur, it's fire and brimstone, you know. And sulfur dioxide is actually a pretty deadly gas. It's actually more deadly than sulfur is it sulfur hydroxide? No, cyanide dioxide, which is what you use to kill people in the gas chamber. The smell of a rotten egg is actually more deadly than cyanide dioxide. You just don't get it in enough of a dose from a rotten egg. True facts, kids. Look it up. Okay, Phil, if someone would like to talk true facts with you, apparently it doesn't save your banners, because I don't have a banner. I'm sad now. I have to rewrite my entire dang banner every time. Well, Phil, if we would like to talk to you about how awesome you are and how lame I am, how can they do so?
Well, if you would like to try to win this copy of Invincible, Volume 2, Issues 5 through 8, or if you would like to discuss Charlie's First World Problems, you can always email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/capesandlunatics. Twitter @capeslunatics. We're on Instagram, Capes and Lunatics. Pinterest, Capes and Lunatics Podcast Board. And remember, the voicemail. Nice and easy. Just pick up your phone and call 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Charlie Esser, where can people discuss all manner of things with you, including hydrogen gas?
If you'd like to write to me in an old-fashioned email way, where Maz and Paz and Rick and Morty once did, because of course we are writing a Rick and Morty blog even as we speak.
It's coming.
You can write me at Charlie Esser. No, you can write me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com to discuss the upcoming Rick and Morty blog, or follow me on the Twitters when I live tweet something at some point forever. Hopefully Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is coming back, which is what we forgot to talk about, but we'll talk about it tomorrow on Superconnectivity itself. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEssesser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality as I sing off tone. And now we're here. Some folks who are right on point.
That has been your Capes and Lunatics. Well, there's 2 of us. All right. That's all for this week from
the Capes
and the Lunatics. Good night, everyone, and hopefully Charlie Esser will say something else during this and exit and have our second single for that CD, for the album.
Something else.
Drop it.
Something else. No. Something else.
Hydrogen gas. Good night. Hydrogen gas.